The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
In a few moments, the news.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15 p.m.) This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Ramesh Piris. First, the headlines. A special debate in Parliament about the present situation will be held tomorrow and day after. MP Namal Rajapaksa says a person cannot be appointed president outside the constitutional provisions. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the majority of the Parliament is with the present government. The Defence Secretary says that two groups are conducting planned protests at various places of the country. Korea doubles employment quota for Sri Lankan migrant workers. And in news overseas, Shanghai COVID lockdown extended to entire city. In sports, ATP introduces stricter punishment for on-court misconduct. And now the local news in detail. MP Prasanna Ranatunga says that a decision was taken to conduct a special debate in Parliament tomorrow and day after. It has been agreed during the party leaders' meeting in Parliament. Discussions have taken place on solving the present situation during the meeting. A final decision is to be taken after the debate in Parliament. Meanwhile, a meeting between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and SLFP parliamentarians who became independent was scheduled to take place this evening. MP Namal Rajapaksa says that even if President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigned from his post, there are no solutions to the present problems. The resignation of the president should take place according to democratic process. Governments after independence have changed according to democratic traditions. He said that if a president is created, the next generation will be left with a pool of blood. Although the people who have taken into streets demand the president to resign, they are not aware of an alternative. He said there is no plan for a leader. There is a question as to who should be appointed if the president resigns. A person should be appointed by the parliament. A person cannot be made president outside the constitutional provisions. The individual who would be appointed by parliament is not a part of the people's struggle. MP Namal Rajapaksa questioned whether that person should also be removed. There are responsible political leaders in parliament. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena have decades of political experience. MP Namal Rajapaksa said that they should handle the situation together. There are political parties behind all the incidents. There are video footage and photographs to confirm those. There are also statements of various individuals. Among them are groups who are protesting due to economic issues. Therefore, he requested the Speaker to take leadership amid the problems. Even if the president leaves, the problems will not end. Thereafter, it cannot be taken up to Grama Niladhari officials. There were such incidents reported from many countries during the recent past. There were such situations during 88-89 period. There is no necessity for parliament or democracy. Attempts were made to form a government through a public wave, but ultimately 60,000 youths were killed. The Leader of the House, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, says that the majority of the Parliament is with the present government. He informed the opposition to show their majority if they say the government does not have a majority. He said that the government has taken maximum measures to solve the people's problems. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
Defence Secretary Major General Kamal Gunaratne says that two groups are conducting planned protests at various places of the country. One group is holding peaceful protests while the other group is intentionally attacking people and properties and committing robberies. He emphasized that strict legal action will be taken against those who act violently during protests. Certain individuals have launched attacks at some places using motorcycles. Those protests have moved out of the democratic framework. When there is a crisis, saboteurs, criminals, racketeers and extremists are trying to use it to achieve their aims. Therefore, he said that the government is paying strict attention on national and public security. The armed forces, police and intelligence units have been kept on standby. Police headquarters have been informed all police stations to pay attention on security of their areas. Minister for Government Policy Coordination of the Republic of Korea, Ko Yeon-chol, is on an official visit to Sri Lanka called on the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor G.L. Peris, on Friday. Minister Peris said that the government is looking forward to further expansion into many areas. Minister Peris also explained that challenges Sri Lanka is currently experiencing and both sides are agreed to work together to further enhance collaboration in mutually beneficial sectors. Minister Ko Yeon-chol said that Korean government has already focused on providing more employment opportunities for Sri Lankans in South Korea. The minister added that Sri Lanka has been listed as one of Korea's priority countries for overseas development assistance allocations. Parliament was adjourned today, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Speaker Mahinda Yaba Abeyewardene informed to the Parliament. Thereafter, a party leaders' meeting in Parliament was held. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said in Parliament that the President appointed some ministers yesterday to continuously maintain parliamentary activities. He said that the President has invited all political parties to join to solve prevailing problems. The government has not ignored problems of the people and taking measures to minimize hardships. He said that all-party conference was also called in this regard. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that everyone should understand the voice of the people. Solutions should be found to their problems. There is no end to various queues. He said that an executive presidential system should be abolished. MP Anura Kumara Disanayaka said that the country is at a decisive moment. The country is facing economic and political crisis. As a result, he said that the people's pressure has exploded. MP Chantima Birakudi said that the people do not believe solutions will be given to their problems. Venerable Athureli Ratanathera said that the Speaker is entrusted with a huge responsibility at present. He said that solutions should be found through a meeting of party leaders by listening to the people's voice. MP Manusha Nanakara said that a move without a political leadership is dangerous. It is a responsibility to protect the Parliament as well as the Executive. MP Buddhika Pathirana questioned as to why a new appointment has not been made since the Deputy Speaker has resigned. The Speaker said such an appointment cannot be made until the President is informed about the resignation. MP Mahindananda Alutgambage said that the people have rejected all 225 members in Parliament. He said if the members become independent, it is their democratic right. MP Roshan Ranasinghe said that the people's mandate is still with the President. Politicians should act exemplarily at this moment. He said it is humorous to note that the good governance which destroyed the country is trying to advise the government. What is needed at this moment is to meet the needs of the people. MP Kumara Welgama said that the fault committed when selecting Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna presidential candidate led to this situation. Secretary to the Ministry of Finance and Treasury, S.R. Artigala, has sent his letter of resignation to the President. BBC reported that former Deputy Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe is scheduled to assume duties as the new Governor of the Central Bank. He has told the BBC that he was invited to accept the post. Accordingly, the BBC reported that he is scheduled to assume duties within next few days. Mr. Ali Sabri, who was sworn in as the Finance Minister yesterday, resigned from the post today. He has said that he is prepared to resign from his parliamentary seat if it is necessary to give an opportunity through the national list to get an individual for the post at this critical moment. And that concludes local news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
On to the main news story. The International Monetary Fund says today that it is monitoring political and economic developments in Sri Lanka very closely. IMF Sri Lanka Mission Chief Masahiro Nozaki told Reuters in an emailed statement IMF staff is looking forward to program discussions with the authorities. And that was the main news story.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
In Watchlight, the Ceylon Electricity Board will implement power cuts of up to 6 hours and 30 minutes from 5th April to 8th. Accordingly, the power supply will be interrupted for 4 hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and for 2 hours and 30 minutes from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the areas A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K and L. Meanwhile, in the areas P, Q, R, S, T, U, V and W, the power supply will be interrupted for 4 hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and for 2.5 hours from 30 minutes from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. The area CC1 will experience only 3 hours and 30 minutes long power cuts from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And that was Watchlight. Bulletin of World News is next.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
First, the headlines of the world news. Shanghai COVID lockdown extended to entire city. Stolen Charles Darwin notebooks left on library floor after 22 years. And Britney Spears confirms she is writing a new memoir. Now the world news in detail. Chinese authorities have extended their lockdown of Shanghai to cover all its 25 million people after a fresh surge in COVID cases. Until now, there have been separate measures for the eastern and western sides, but the whole city is now subject to indefinite restrictions. Shanghai is the largest single city to be locked down to date. The important financial hub has battled a new wave of coronavirus infections for more than a month. 2 stolen notebooks written by Charles Darwin have been mysteriously returned to Cambridge University 22 years after they were last seen. The small leather-bound books were worth many millions of pounds and include the scientist's Tree of Life sketch. Their return comes 15 months after media first highlighted that they had gone missing and the library launched a worldwide appeal to find them. Britney Spears has confirmed that she is in the process of writing a book, confirming recent reports in US media that the star intended to pen a new tell-all memoir. Spears shared the news in a message posted on Instagram on Monday night. The singer said the memoir will tackle painful events in her life that she has never been able to express openly. Back to the headlines of the world news. Shanghai COVID lockdown extended to entire city. Stolen Charles Darwin notebooks left on library floor after 22 years. And Britney Spears confirms she is writing a new memoir. And that ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by... Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
The government of Japan has agreed to provide 500 million yen under the Japanese non-project grant aid scheme for provisions of equipment. It is to strengthen the diagnostic techniques to facilitate export certification in the country. The exchange of notes pertaining to the above grant was signed by Secretary, Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, and Ambassador of Government of Japan, Mizukoshi Hideki, yesterday at the Ministry of Finance. And that was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports, the men's governing body has said tennis officials will hand out stricter punishment for on-court misconduct. The ATP told players it was also reviewing its penalties for serious violations and repeat offenders. Australian Nick Kyrgios was fined a total of $60,000 after the 26-year-old's outburst in Indian Wells and the Miami Open earlier this year. German Alexander Zverev was also thrown out of the Mexican Open after hitting the umpire's chair with his racket. The ATP said the incident shined a bad light on the sport. That was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, a new all-time record price of 1,950 rupees per kilogram was recorded for a Peko grade manufactured by Adam View Tea Factory at this week's e-auction held on March 29th and 30th. This is an excellent achievement by Team Adams Views. Adams View Tea Factory is a flag bearer known for producing good quality tea in the low-grown sector and is situated in the Ratnapura district. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Despite the pandemic and lockdowns, the existing companies in BUI zones have increased their investments in Sri Lanka. The additional investments made by existing companies in 2020 were $716 million, and this increased to $1,032 million in 2021. This was disclosed by President Free Trade Zone Manufacturers Association, Jatinder Baila, recently. And that was economic news. Moving on to the weather report. Mid-department says showers or thunder showers will occur at several places over most parts of the island during the evening or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in central, Sabaragamuwa, Uva, northwestern and north-central provinces and in Galle and Matara districts. The sun is directly over Sri Lanka from the 5th to the 15th of April in this year. The nearest areas of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead tomorrow noon are Valipanna, Monaragala, Vedagala, Dolakanda, Palipadda, Angunakuda Palasa and Mahiraba. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. A special debate in Parliament about the present situation will be held tomorrow and day after. MP Namal Rajapaksa says a person cannot be appointed president outside the constitutional provisions. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the majority of the Parliament is with the present government. The Defence Secretary says that 2 groups are conducting planned protests at various places of the country. Korea doubles employment quota for Sri Lankan migrant workers. In news overseas, Shanghai COVID lockdown extended to entire city. And in sports, ATP introduces stricter punishment for on-court misconduct. And that concludes this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.